Hello. How are you? Well, pain. Isn't pain an interesting subject? You know, on the subject of pain, it's not a question of whether you're going to encounter it or if you're going to encounter it. It's more a question of when, why, and how, and what will you do about it. There's no avoiding it. It's an aspect of our reality that we occupy. And one might be forgiven for forgetting that they occupy a position in paradise while the flames of hell are licking at their feet. But that doesn't change the fact that paradise and Tartarus or the lake of fire are both aspects of this reality that we occupy. So, what can be done about it? Well, it seems to me this foot is in very bad pain right now. That's sort of prompted this video. This position is actually kind of comfortable because it's right here, kind of where the ball meets the toe, and I can turn it up and it's not impacting anything right now. It seems to me that there are modes of being which are more effective in the face of pain, and that the problem of pain is really sort of an attitudinal problem. Everybody is going to suffer, everybody's going to feel pain. The question is, how do we react to it? What do we do about the fact that we're going to feel these things? I was very curious. Pain sometimes appears to have no rhyme or reason, and sometimes it feels almost like an act of fate when it approaches you or when it occurs to you. Um, in fact, that's often the case. It's often the case that the worst pain that you experience appears to be the most random, um, and in many cases, the least justified, where there doesn't really appear to be any source. There doesn't really appear to be any course of action you could have taken. And while that's probably somewhat true, it's also probably somewhat not true. But what is true is that the way you respond to it, the way you react to it, will change. The perspective that one has in relationship to pain itself is foundational and critical. In my lifetime, I've had my fair share of pain, both physical and mental and emotional, and probably more than my fair share of physical pain. I think when I was younger, this used to bother me. This used to be something that I sort of viewed as a kind of like, well, of course, me again, right? Like that was kind of the attitude I had. Like, okay, I'm just gonna get this again. And to some extent, there's a part of me that still kind of like smirks when somewhat arbitrary, or at least ostensibly arbitrary, pain is delivered to me. It's like, okay, we're gonna do this again. But what I've found is that focusing on it doesn't help. And leaning into it doesn't help, in the sense that accepting people's sympathy doesn't help, and trying to utilize whatever you're going through to gain, temporary sympathy or um, advantage really is not functional. It really doesn't work. Um, People don't respect it. People are smart enough to know when you're doing that. And it just isn't a great solution. And instead, what appears to be the best thing to do is to take your burden like a pack mule and just carry it. And what's amazing is when you do that, and you do that nobly, and you do that without complaining, people like you more, and people admire you more, and people are willing to corral around you and support you in ways that can be quite amazing. People will really surprise you with how much they're willing to do for people who, are trying their best, who are really giving it an honest shot. Um, and people have a tremendous amount of sympathy for those who are in pain and who are not complaining about it, who aren't trying to use it to some kind of advantage. My cat is on the prowl. He's hearing the dogs barking in the neighborhood, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. He's so cute. And this is what I mean. The sun is coming down. We're getting into the sunrise portion of the evening. The neighborhood dogs are barking. My cats are curious and they're hanging out by the door. I'm sitting in an air conditioned room, which I've decorated in a way which I find appealing, smoking cigars. Life is beautiful, and yet I'm in physical pain. And what I've come to learn is that there are two categories of physical pain. Um, and one of them, at some strange level, really doesn't matter. And it's what I call inconsequential pain. It's the kind of pain where you have some minor issue. And when I say minor, I mean something as serious as like a break, like you break a bone, or you have a sprain in one of your ligaments, or things like this, which most people would consider to be fairly serious. But ultimately, with modern medicine and proper treatment and a good game plan, like they really don't affect your life in any way. You get through them and then you move on. But then there are kinds of pain, and this is the other category, which have meaningful impacts across time and they really change the story of your life in a fundamental and permanent way. Those ones do matter. And so, whatever's happening with my foot right now, I think is probably in the category of pain that at some level doesn't really matter. And if you are a young person and you overreact to pain that really doesn't matter, um, to some extent you will lose the sympathy of your elders, because your elders know that's just pain, right? Your elders have been there. They've been through severe physical pain. They've been through all kinds of things which would cause them to understand the context of what you're going through. And if you allow some little issue to derail you and stall your entire life, well, they're not going to like that, because they're going to know, like, well, you could also just toughen up and get through this. But um what your elders will respect is when you appear to be mature beyond your years and you approach these conditions with an understanding of which ones actually matter. So, for example, if somebody has cancer and it hurts, that matters. If somebody has um, a form of diabetes, which is very severe, or perhaps kidney disease, or any one of these other issues which are actually critical and can really cause some serious issues, that matters. And it's also contextual because if you're a soccer player, if you're a professional soccer player and you break your leg, well, that matters because that's inhibiting you from being able to do your job. And I have released a video prior. It's my second most viewed video called Everything Matters. So don't misunderstand me when I'm saying doesn't matter because everything matters. And I do still maintain that. But what I'm implying by these categories is that there is inconsequential pain and there is consequential pain, meaning that the consequential pain is indicating something seriously wrong that you have to remedy that could permanently or perhaps ultimately derail or end your life. And those are extraordinarily important ones to wrestle with and to get a handle on. And really, all pain should be evaluated and understood. Come on, buddy. You gonna come? He's thinking about cuddling. He's thinking about joining the video. Maybe he will. Come on, buddy. Yeah, come on. You can. We have an orange boy. Um, but really, there are forms of pain which really you just endure them for a short time and then you'll be all right. And this is where the Roman Stoic philosophy is actually very useful, and possibly even the Greek Stoic philosophies as well. But I would say particularly the Romans. Um, so if you're in some kind of physical pain, and it's not the kind of physical pain that will actually uh, jeopardize your well-being, then perhaps you should look into Stoicism, Roman Stoicism, Greek Stoicism, as a tool or a means to get through 2 weeks or a month of physical pain that will naturally remedy itself. But if you're in the kind of physical pain where there are legitimate consequences for ignoring it, then get on the get on the bike, so to speak, and start creating some actions which will um, help you in some tangible way. And so there really isn't too much more to say. Life is a beautiful place, and your perspective on how you see it while you're in pain will change everything. Um, and so I choose to remain optimistic. I choose to remain aligned with the light and to be moving towards the good and to require of myself that I do more and I do better. But it's not always easy work. It's sometimes is quite challenging and stressful. We have both cats. That's what I mean. Life is such a beautiful thing. You never know when the beauty is going to arrive and join you. And if you have it in your head that everything is this major problem and everything is all dark and gloomy, well, you're just not going to appreciate the little moments when they arrive. It's very rare for there to be a cigar and two cats at the same time. This is maybe the first actually, because this kitty, her name's Boba, she really doesn't like cigars. Briar doesn't care. Boba doesn't like them, as you can see by her concern. So, all that to say, find your little pocket of paradise. Don't forget that you occupy a position in paradise. It's very crucially important to the context of your life that you discover that and then spend time in it and stew in it and appreciate it. And then when you look at your pain, try to understand what the level of consequence that the pain has and manage it, but also don't become disheartened by it because pain is a physical manifestation. Um, but it doesn't mean that you need to be crippled by it. And if you can endure it and you can move through it and you can strive for the best, then you should. Whatever the context is, no matter how dark it might be, you should aim for the highest possible good in every context. And with that, my friends, I bid you adieu. That'll be the end of this short video. Um, for those of you who may be concerned about my foot, it does hurt like hell. There's a couple options as far as what it might be, and we're not sure yet. I've taken x-rays, and we'll be finding out soon. But for now, it's just manifesting as tremendous pain, and I'll be fine. It's just going to hurt in the meantime. So don't worry about me. And if you have any comments on anything you want me to discuss or any topics or just anything you want to say, please leave a comment. I love dealing with the comments. Say hi to Boba, say hi to Briar in the comments. They're both here, so that's a rare occurrence and a nice welcome surprise. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.